Hello, everybody. It's Brad Shores of Tropical Shores Steel Drum Lessons. It's January 17th. Glad to see you all here. It's 5 o'clock where we are at, and it's 6 o'clock and 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock where some people are, but here it's live at 5. We're going to work on a song called, this is technical difficulty for me here, sorry. We're going to work on Harlem Nocturne today, and this song is kind of complicated. It is not for the faint of heart. There's some really sticky things about it, and sorry, we did a couple things wrong here. All right, so one of the things I always would like to start with is basic hand position, because I don't know if people have played before, but basic hand position, if you look into the pan, you can see my hands are like this. There's no, what I call nose pickers, no hitchhikers, and no tea drinkers. And it's basically when you hit that note, you want it to come up, you want it to bounce off there. We don't want it to mash it and do that. So instead of, I know that seems obvious, but believe me, it happens. The other thing is I've seen some people play these notes on the upper end of the pan, like this, with my hand like this. That is not correct. What you should do is what they say is to get into the pan. I'm going to get into the pan instead of doing this. It might be the same effect, but it actually is not correct. So there's that. And also, I want to talk about the kind of drum I have is a D lead, I'm sorry, a C lead. That means that my C is here. I did play a D lead earlier in my life. That meant that the D was the lowest note. On this drum, this is a C tenor, which means the lowest note is C. And that kind of makes a difference. And mine is a spider web. It's got the circle of fifths, um, pattern. So I don't know if that's what you're playing, but I wanted to make sure and tell you that. This week I did label the notes. Somebody wrote in and said, hey, it'd be nice to see what you're playing. I think it's a great advice. So let's go on to, I want to play through a little bit of the song, maybe not the whole thing. We're going to play through the whole thing at the end, but for now, I want to just play through the song so you get an idea of how it goes. If you're old enough to know this is the old Mike Hammer theme, the old Michael Hammer theme. I don't know if it's Michael or Mike. Miss Congeniality, do you know which it is? Not sure. My producer is Miss Congeniality tonight. But I did notice on the lead sheet that I put on bradshoresmusic.com, go to the steel drum music page, I didn't put the first two major introduction rest on there. So when I redo that, I'll put the rest on there. There's a rest at the beginning. So I'll put that on there for you. You can see at the beginning on the lead sheet that there is no rest, but actually on the recording that I'm going to play, there is a two major introduction rest. So here we go. Okay. Sorry. We'll do a little bit more of that later. There's a very interesting lick in this song, and it is in measure a couple times, but it starts in measure 18, and the lick is this one. I'll do it real slow. It starts on the end of 17, the very last note of measure 17, going into 18, and you have this, B flat to C. I found that to be a really interesting lick, so if we can zero in on my pan here, I'll do it really slow. It's B flat to C, and then I come back to F, and I go right around the corner until I get to F sharp, and then I go to B and E, A and D, C and G. Here I go again. Right around the corner, wait till I get to F to sharp, and I'm going to go to B, B and E, A and D, and I see this. I see the B, A, and G. B, E, A, D, G, C. So that helped me a little bit learn that. Right around the corner, B to E, A to D, G to C. You practice that a couple times, and then you can play the song, because the other parts are pretty basic. So we have a new feature this time. This is one of the twists and turns I showed you, is that Bobble Brad has a word for us. And so if we see Bobble Brad, he is talking about the form. The word of the day from Bobble Brad is the form. Now what I'm talking about, actually Bobble, we discussed it, we're talking about the form of a song, and that is the melody versus the chorus versus any other sections. And typically musicians will label them A, B, and C, or A, B, A. So what they're saying is, on this particular song, I see that it's you do the beginning part, which is the melody, and then you do the melody again, and then there's this thing in the middle, which we would either call the bridge or label it something else, chorus. But in the form, I see it goes A, B. It does the melody twice, and then it goes to the bridge, which is that part that had actually it would start at measure 12, and then it goes back to the beginning again. So this form is A-A-B. In fact, I think it's A-A-B-A, and then it goes back to the beginning. So what happens is, it goes A, and then B. The next thing you hear is the A section again. So it's A-A-B, A-A-B. I thought I went back to A section a third time, but that's not correct. It's A-A-B, A-A-B. So really, if you learn the A section, you know half the song, because it's an A-A. Then the B section, which has a little bit more difficult, you learn that part. And I think that the bridge is the more difficult part, except that when you get to that one, if you can go around the corner in your, just go around the pan in your little pan here, you know, it's not so bad. Also, let's talk about the theory for a minute, the theory sheet. If you download the music from BrianShoresMusic.com and you go to the steel drum tab and you download that, you'll see that there's a theory sheet. It's called Harlem Nocturne Theory. And what it does, it outlines a little bit of the theory or the chords that are in the song. And the first one it starts with, the very first thing you see is the D minor scale. Now this song is in D minor. We're going to get to that in a minute. The key is D minor. And then it shows you what the chords look like. For instance, the first one on the sheet, you can see is its second line. It says D and then small m. That stands for D minor. If it was major, it wouldn't have anything after it. It would just be D. Typically, it can have a capital M, but typically D just means major. That's the default for major. D minor has to have some sort of small m. Sometimes they have a negative sign on that. It just depends. The next one is D minor plus 7. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but that's a D minor chord, but there's another note on there, and it's the 7. It's the C sharp. And the reason it's a plus 7 is because in D minor, C is not sharped normally. So they're telling you to use a note that has been raised up a half step, sharp. Sharps go up, flats go down. So that note C, if they say sharp 7, they want you to make it a C sharp. So D minor 7 with a plus sharp 7. And then you have your D minor 7. And you can see on the 7 chords, they don't have just 3. It's not a triad, it's a quadrad. That's not a real word, but it's 4 notes. So you have the 1, the 3, and the 5, and the 7. That's why it's called a 7 chord. You have your 1, the D, F is 3, A is 5, and then you added the 7, so we have a D minor chord. On the next line we have a G minor chord. Now, when you go to the next chord, whatever the note is that defines that chord, in this case G becomes 1. G is 1, B flat is 3, D is 5, and it's telling you to sharp the 7. So instead of F, it says sharp to 7. Make it an F sharp. Raise it, so it's an F sharp. That's a G minor with a raised F sharp. You have also a D minor 6. There's a lot of different note chords on here that are kind of complicated. That doesn't mean you have to play all those. They're kind of in the melody already. They're just defining the chords for you. The D minor 6, you have the DFA, that's the D minor chord, 1, 3, 5. And then they added the 6th note in that scale, which is B flat, so that's a D minor 6. And then you have some other chords. But I'm going to go over to the board for just a minute, go to the whiteboard. So on this particular scale, you have your D minor scale. I have it right here. It's also on that sheet. You look over here at the key signature. Now, if you go to Google, if you don't know anything about music and you punch in 1 flat music, it'll probably say F major. So that's true. F major is also 1 flat. So why do they have D minor there? Well, here's the thing. What you have, D is a relative minor key to F major. They have the same scale. The scale for F major is F to F with 1 flat. The scale for D minor is D to D with 1 flat. They share the key signature. So how do you know what the relative majors and minors are? Here's what you do. You find your F. Let's say you have your minor scale, D minor. You go up 3 notes, and that is your relative major. The minor is here. The major is here. Minor there. So let's say, what if I was in A major? Well, what if we were in A minor? I would go, okay, here's my A. I go up 2 notes. A minor is related to C major. They're related. They have the same key signature. That's why they call them relative major minor. So, yeah, that's very crucial in this song. I'm going to go back to the pan for a minute and do front. And this song is built a lot on that. It works its way around a lot in the D minor scale. Now, it doesn't always say on the D minor chord, but the D minor scale is common to the entire song, except on the bridge. So, what do I want to work on? Okay, the chords and the harmony. So, if I were to play a solo on this song, let's say I want to do a little bit of a solo, I want to know, the first thing I have to know is I have to assess, okay, what are the rules of this song? Like, okay, what key am I in? Is it a major? Is it a minor? You have to do some sort of triage about how to work the song. You have to learn the rules. What rules are there? Well, we're in D minor. Do we know the D minor scale? Terrific. That's a good start. Now, this has some different chords in it, and you have to be able to know when are we going to go to those chords. So, at the beginning, let's do pan hands here. At the beginning, the D minor scale works really well. Now, the next chord that comes up that's different is the G minor scale, but I want to stay in D minor because I don't want to change rules. So I'm going to start on G and just stay with the same pattern as D minor. I'm not going to play anything different than the D minor scale. I'm just going to start on G. Nothing different, same notes. I just started in a different place. Now, when I go to the middle of the song, I now go to, it changes to an F and a C minor chord. So the part that goes, that whole section changes to F major. But the cool thing about it is that F major and D minor are related, so there's really no change in scale. They're related. That's the beauty of it. You don't really have to know the chord. The music changes behind you, but you're playing the same thing, and you sound great. Now, here's the way I always explain this. Now, back in my day, we just took senior pictures outside somewhere and showed off our ring. That's all we did. Today, they have different backgrounds. They have different outfits. Maybe that was just Western Kansas. I don't know. But anyway, today, I would tell kids, when you stand in front of a different background, even though you're wearing the same shirt, you look different because your background's different. And it is with the music. The music has changed, but you're playing the same scale, so you sound differently. So, the entire middle section here is pretty much all F major with a couple of alterations, if you like. Now, that alteration would be this. You should probably play E flats instead. use the, start on the D. So I'm still playing in the D minor area. I'm making a couple alterations because the music calls for that. Now, when I was playing this earlier today, I was rehearsing and I hit a couple of clams. I hit stuff that, oh, I shouldn't do that again. And that happens to everybody. You might hit some notes that don't work. I always just say, don't play those again. And that's how you get better. You just eliminate those mistakes if you can, and practice a lot. But I was also talking to somebody earlier this week, and they said, what's the best way to get better? And I said, well, play. When I was learning golf, I'm still learning golf. When I was learning golf, you know, I hadn't had any lessons or anything, but I just kept playing. Every day I would play. I might play with somebody to give me some advice, and I played. And I made improvement because I was learning, well, that didn't work. I should probably hit the ball further or something. So the point is that the best way to learn to play is to play and make mistakes. And, you know, watch out for the sources of lessons, of course. So, let's see, we did the board. I want to check and see if there's any chatting. Are there any questions? I don't see any right now. The middle of this section, though, the middle of this chord is kind of complicated because you go from the F7 to the C minor 7, F7, C minor 7. And then it goes from that, it switches, but still, you really want to stay with the B flat chord. And I'm sorry, the F chord, F7 chord. So, if I'm going to improv on this, let's see. I think I'm going to run the track a little bit, and I'm just going to do some improv, but I'm going to try to talk over myself so you can hear what I'm doing. The other thing I wanted to say was, if people, are you able to hear us okay? Is the volume okay? We tried to make some adjustments from last week. It's hard for us to hear in the downstairs studio here how we're doing. Let us know if it's too loud, not loud enough, things like that. All right, here's from the beginning. F major scale now, with an E flat. So you may not have G flat and D flat match on your hand, but they are, D flat is known as another name as C sharp is the same one. And if I go to the piano and I play D flat, if I play C sharp, it would be the same note. And harmonic would be the same, that's the word bit. You know, if you're going to Google, what is enharmonic G flat? What is enharmonic with G flat? You can probably say F sharp. So I've used Google for all kinds of things. Replacing my broken screen on my phone, everything. You can find out anything. But the enharmonic thing I wanted to ask to tell you about was I describe it to my students like this. When I was at church, people would know me as Brad. At school, I was Mr. Shores. When I was at home, I'd be Dad. It's the same guy, different names. So G flat has a different name. It's F sharp. You know, E flat has another name. It's D sharp. So I'm glad you asked that because there's a lot of those notes. I'm going back front here that are, oh my goodness, lots of questions. Okay, so there you go, Jamie. Thank you. Jamie's a great helper. Also a wonderful daughter and even a better band player. There's weird music on that. She said there's, okay. I thought she was saying there's a weird sound on my mic. I think this is my breathing. Okay. All right. So, how do you learn to improvise? Now, I'm glad you asked that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for asking. If I was going to improvise on this one, at first I would want to know, okay, well, let me put it to you like this. If you're playing poker, before they deal that hand, you want to say, okay, well, what are the rules there? One-eyed, jacks, wild, what are the rules? What is the rules with Harlem Nocturne? Well, it's in D minor. I need to know that. I need to know the chord changes. But what I would do first is I would play through the song, and when I go back, I'm going to say, all right, what chord, what scale can I play, or what chord tones can I play? And the reason I wanted to tell you about that was you could play the chord tones on this song like this. Here's the song. So I'm going to just play the chord tones. I know what the chords are because it says D minor. I already know that because I saw the harmony sheet or the theory sheet. G minor. There's this chord. So how would I use that? That sounds kind of square, and it sounds like I'm just playing an exercise. Well, I don't have to play it like that, but before I need to improvise, before I learn how to improvise, I need to know what the chords are. I got to know what can I play and what can't I play. So things that I always use in improvisation, number one, chord tones. Go play the chord tones through. Number two, find out what can I, do I have to play all the chord tones, or can I get away with just playing the D minor scale, which I did. So I would learn that. And then I would learn to use things like sometimes I just use part of the melody. I'm playing chord tones, but I'm playing them in a rhythmic, and you have to be able to make up rhythms, experiment. And sometimes I use things like, we talked about this last week, embellishments. Use that little C sharp to D. The A flat to A works nice. Any note that's in the chord tone can be embellished, usually by right below it. If it's an A, like A flat, a half step below. The other thing I thought about when I was improvising this earlier, I thought, you know what a great scale is. I'm going to go to the board for a second. A great scale is the blues scale on this. I started improv and I was just kind of messing around. And I played the blues scale and I thought, wow, that really sounded good if I don't say so myself. I mean, Bob LeBrad was over there just bobbing and everything. This is the blues scale. It's a slightly different scale. It's kind of a jazz scale. It has these particular notes in it. And notice it doesn't have 8. It's a shortened scale. D, F, G, A flat, A, C, D. That sounds really good. Not the whole way through maybe, but you throw some of these blue notes in here like A flat, that's going to swing. So I'm going to play a little bit of that for you. I'm going to go pan, I think. I'll just use a little bit of the blues scale. a scale. I used the D, F, G, A flat, A, C, and then I just did it up higher now. D, F, G, A flat, A, C. Now, I did a couple of things on here that I thought really sounded great. Repetition is a very good tool. Like earlier, I went, oh, I really like this little thing I do. Yeah, I practiced that a couple times, and I'm a percussionist, so I'm experienced playing fast notes with sticks, so that's something, but I like the way that sounds. That's a good solid lick. Now again, I learned the blues scale. You have the here's again, D, F, G, A flat, A, C, D. Unfortunately, I didn't put that on the theory. I should have done that. I just thought of it right before I went live here, but that's a great tool to put in here. It doesn't work on every song, and I should tell you that I don't use all those notes all the time. I like to intersperse a little bit. Like I like to say, I like steak sauce. I just don't want to pull a bottle of it on my meat, you know. So, okay, where are we and what are we doing? Those are great questions. Thank you for asking those, and always feel free to ask things. Brad at tropicalshores.net. I'm answering questions all the time, and I love doing that. I'm a retired, semi-retired teacher. Mrs. Congeniality reminds me you're still actually working. But okay. Let's see where we're at. Oh, I do want to tell you that at Brad Shores Music, bradshoresmusic.com is where you can get the track to this, and I think last week's track is still up. Gosh, what was it last week? Help me. I don't remember. I don't remember. Whatever we did last week is still on there. And next week, we're going to be doing the famous song that some of you might know. Some of us more experienced with live people know Rock the Boat. Hughes Corporation did that, 1970-ish, something like that. And it's a nice little track, and it's fun to play. Not particularly difficult, but it'll make a good theory lesson, I'm pretty sure. But that's already up. It's already ready for download, and it's all free. We do appreciate you throwing us a couple of shekels here and there so we can continue to upgrade. This week, we're donating to the Hospice House of Reno County, which is about 30 miles from where we are right now, but we're kind of in the vicinity where I used to live until 5 years ago. So great people there. They're, as if you've ever dealt with hospice people, they're angelic, and I'd like to just throw them some money. And we're continuing to buy equipment here and upgrade. And as I've said 100 times, we are not up on the roof. Thank you, Andrea. We are not sound engineers. We're doing the best we can, but it's important to me that we get this this information out, and I feel strongly about it. And I just like teaching. So let's see, where are we at? That question. Let me check the question board. Those are some great questions. The improv issue is that's a big question. How do you learn to improv? But I'll say it again. The three things: know what key you're in, know the form of the song, and then know what the chord changes are. Now, experienced musicians can sit down and probably listen and go, "Well, I know that chord." They recognize it. But if you're not experienced, there's a little bit of ear training that has to happen. You know, you have to learn to know when that chord changes, and start with easy songs. I wish somebody would write an easy song for steel drums. So wait a minute, I already did that. I have two volumes out, and they have chord changes on them. And anyway, it's volume 1 and volume 2. It's at tropicalshores.net. And I almost forgot. Book 10 came out today. It came in Santa's sack, and he was just like, no, it's done today. That's at tropicalshores.net also. Okay, and okay, where are we at? Can you look up the blues scale? Are you talking to me, Jamie? I don't. Oh, I see. I thought you were telling me. Yes. You know, a really good song that I've done that works really well, I've been told, is not blues samba, but reggae blues. I had a customer a couple weeks ago said he even posted a video of him playing blues scale over on his guitar to that song. So he said this is a great tool. It's called Reggae Blues. And if you want to let me know, I'll get it to you. The thing I like about it is it's in D minor. We just talked about D minor. It has the D minor chords in it. you can use the D blues scale, you can use the D minor scale. And it's a long track. I mean, it goes on for a while. So you could just play, and you can do a lot of improv to it. And again, you're going to make a lot of mistakes on improv. That's part of the deal. You know, when I was playing golf, there was times I didn't even hit the ball. I mean, I didn't have success every time. Have never had. I've never had a hole-in-one. Last week I shot a 39, but then I went to the second hole, so it was extremely. What are some of the scales used in improvisation? That's a great one. Two big ones. Number one, the blues scale. Now, depending on what kind of songs we're doing, I would say rock and roll uses blues a lot. They also use the pentatonic scale. And I'm going to go over the board since he asked that. Those are great questions. Pentatonic scale would be this. It would be, I'm going to have to erase. Let's go back to just C major scale. That's an easy one. Pentatonic scale has 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. And then, of course, 1 again. That one used in a lot of different kinds of music. And it sounds like this. Let's say we're in C major. Okay, C, D, E, C, D, E, G, A. The first, second, third, fifth, and sixth tone of that scale. That's a really good scale to know. And I would tell you that if I'm in a situation where I'm playing a song for the first time and I'm like at a gig or something, which has happened, and I'll just listen very closely and I'll just go, I'm just going to play the melody a little bit. I might mess with the melody, and then I might just do a little bit of the pentatonic scale because I know I can get away with that. The other thing I would tell you is quoting the melody. Like, there's a song called Baja. Jamie, I'm really sorry about this, but this is Baja. In that song, inevitably, and much to Jamie's chagrin, I always play the chicken dance because I quote it just as a joke to see if anybody's listening. And some people, I don't even know how to do it, but they will acknowledge, they'll go, I think he just played the chicken dance. This guy's mental. So using quotes is a great way to do that. For instance, oh gosh. Now I started out with the melody, hopefully it was recognizable, missed a couple of them, but I started out with the melody, then I played around the melody a little bit. So, there I played the melody, but I use different rhythms. That's an easy way to get your feet wet, on both feet or knees. All right, so let's see where we're at. I do want to, Jamie does not like them. Well, there was one good thing, if you haven't figured out yet, Jamie's my daughter. She's an awesome musician and a great teacher, but she was in our family band called, of course, Tropical Shores. And what was the best thing about Baja was always the last song we played of the evening, typically after a 3-hour gig in some resort that was way too hot. So, Baja was always the shining star on the hill because it was the end of the gig. So typically the people in the band would say, well, how many songs are we from Baja? That's a way of gauging how close we are to leaving this place. How far are we from Baja? So, and I'm sure she will, the sweet relief of Baja. That's so true. So, where are we at? What are we doing? I'm just looking at questions, and all right. I'm reading some of the questions. Okay. Yeah, so Jamie's saying the same thing. Okay, now, one thing that I do want to do is I do want to play through the entire, this could be a play along. I don't know if you're able to do that or not, but if you can, I'm going to play through the entire song. Now, let's talk about Bobble Brad. Let's hit the Bobble Brad page. Bobble Brad was reminding us the form of the song is as follows. We're going to play the A section, and then the B section, which has that crazy part in it. And the other part, then it'll go back to the A section twice, and then the B section, and the third time, A section, and then the end. Now, there's a couple of things that's on here that we need to know about. If you will look at your music on measure 7, there is this. I'm going to go to the board for just a second. You'll see the words to coda. I always say that is like, this is the music telling you, when you see this the third time through, go to this part of the music where you see this. It's a road sign. You're looking, this is saying, go to where you see that. Almost like a detour. That's in that measure. And there's no sign here, so yeah, it just repeats back. Measure 29 repeats back to measure 2. And then you play the form 3 times, and the third time you go to the coda. So that's how that works. I think it's something like that. And also I wanted to tell you what NC was. NC stands for no chord. It doesn't want you to play a chord there, it wants you to play exactly what you see. And again, that's that crazy. It took me 3 or 4 times to get that. But the good news is it just goes around the drum. Unless you're playing double seconds or something, it's pretty nice. All right, so you can get your mallets, and I guess we're going to take off here. We're going to play the entire song. Might make a couple of... Okay, it's going to go from the front, from the beginning. 2 measures of rest. Section's coming up. last time through. Coda. Sorry, I goofed a couple things. I started watching what was on the chat, and I shouldn't do that. So that's Harlem Nocturne all the way through. We didn't talk too much about double stops this time. I ran out of time, but if you need to know more about that, be happy to talk to you. Brad at tropicalshores.net. Again, if you want to download the music at bradshoresmusic.com and go to the Steel Drums tab, Steel Drum Music tab. I know it's confusing, but I didn't want to put all that music on the tropicalshores.net because it was hard for that e-commerce site to do that, so I just chose to do it differently. If you want to throw us a couple bucks for the donation, that would be terrific. Again, that goes part of that donation goes to a hospice house of Reno County. It's in Kansas, in Hutchinson, Kansas, and absolutely, you can do a couple things. You can do the Venmo if you know how to do that. You can do Brad at tropicalshores.net. That would be terrific. I really appreciate that. And so. Again, it seems like it goes by very quickly. Next week we'll be working on Rock the Boat. It's Hughes Corporation song. And I want to thank Miss Congeniality here for her help and her advice. And that's all we got right now. Next week will be another live at 5, or for some of you, somebody said they're going to be in the mix at 6 on the East Coast. So we'll see you again. Thanks for